So I'm an autistic savant with a special interest in human behavior and metaphysics, and this series of videos is me sharing how I took my life from a literal train wreck, decades of severe substance abuse issues, ridiculous mental health that was actually just undiagnosed autism and ADHD. But anyhow, I'm sharing in this series of videos how my special interest in human behavior and metaphysics and the breadcrumb trail that I've been on following this information and then implementing it in my life has totally turned things around for me, and I'm putting it into bite-sized videos for you to do the same. I want to put a disclaimer in here that there's many paths to enlightenment. I'm not saying that this is the only way. I am just sharing what I have done and how it has helped me. So far, we've talked about alcohol and substance use because I was an addict, as I mentioned, and it was a real issue for me. It was not only poisoning me and keeping me in a state of chronic fight or flight, sympathetic nervous system response, which is the topic of today's video, but it also created like a bunch of drama that I was constantly responding to. Okay, so ultimately, enlightenment can be boiled down to two simple steps. 1, calm your body down, and 2, turn your attention inwards. You cannot do step 2 without doing step 1 first, because when your body is in a state of fight or flight, it is using the brain to look outside of itself. The brain in your head surveys the physical environment and keeps you from dying, okay? When your body is poisoned or stressed out, it's going to be using the brain because it thinks it's under a threat. So your body's sending a signal to the brain that it's not safe. The brain is looking for things that are not safe. And because the brain is really good at confirming what it's looking for, it's going to find things. This is the root of anxiety. So what is nervous system regulation? It's probably something that you've heard tossed around, especially with the trendiness of somatic work coming into the spiritual space, right? Like somatic work is of the body. Soma is the body, right? Your nervous system is what regulates your body in survival mode or rest, essentially. So there's 2 branches of your CNS, the central nervous system, your sympathetic and your parasympathetic, okay? Sympathetic, fight or flight. This is when your body is ready to fight a frickin' bear, okay? So you've got increased respiration, increased heart rate, increased muscle tension, and decreased cognitive capacity because your brain is really busy looking for threats. Parasympathetic is the opposite. It is rest and digest, okay? It is basically all of your body's healing properties, your digestive system, rest and digest. It's in the name, right? Fight or flight, rest or digest. It's pretty intuitive when it comes to those labels. These 2 systems are mutually exclusive, which means that they can't operate at the same time. So even if you are slightly activated in your sympathetic fight or flight response, your rest and digest is turned off. This also means that your cognitive faculties are turned off or diminished. You're only thinking thoughts that are like avoid danger, stay safe and small, and basically do the same thing that you've already done because the brain wants your body to save energy because it's using a shit ton of energy being ready to fight a freaking bear. Here's the thing about these systems. They're obviously adaptive, like we have them for a reason, okay? And what screws us up as humans is that we have an area of the brain that mammals and reptiles don't have. There are 3 areas to your brain, okay? We've got the most primitive core area that is the basal ganglia, otherwise known as the reptilian brain. This is present in all of the brains, okay? So like reptiles have a basal ganglia, which is basically like eat, sleep, procreate, okay? Like those are the base urges coming from your reptilian brain. Around that, we've got the limbic system. So this is the mammalian brain. So if you think of the difference between a snake and a dog, okay, that is what the mammalian brain or the limbic system adds. So like animals have the ability to feel emotions in a way, but they're not really thinking, like they're totally present. Like they don't have abstract thought. They don't have the ability to like forecast themselves into the future. They are just in the moment, but they do have access to things like empathy, sympathy, connection, and so on and so forth that come with the limbic system. And then we have the neocortex, and this is what differentiates us as humans, okay? This is the fancy part of the brain that gives us those executive functions. Now, the prefrontal cortex, actually, I should say, is where the executive functions lie, okay? And this doesn't develop in you, by the way, until you're in your early to mid-20s, depending on your gender, like sexually, hormonally. And if you're neurodivergent, it's even later, okay? So like if you're a neurodivergent male, your prefrontal cortex is not fully developed until you're almost 30. If you are a neurodivergent female, it's like mid to later 20s. So this is what screws us up, okay, as far as our nervous system regulation goes, because the neocortex gives us the ability to activate our sympathetic nervous system without an actual threat being in front of us. And we can continue the threat signals without it, again, being right in front of us. So like a mouse running away from a cat needs that nervous system response in order to get away from the cat, okay? Like it needs the increased heart rate and the respiration and the laser focus on survival so that it can find an escape route and not be eaten, right? But like as soon as that stimulus is gone, like the cat goes away, the mouse is not hanging out in its hole being like, oh my God, I hope that cat doesn't come back, like, oh, and then like thinking of a million different things to continue to be stressed out about. So this is why I started this series with like alcohol and other substances, food and things like that as well, which I'm going to get into. I mean, there's only so much I can say. This video is already almost 6 minutes long, right? It is 6 minutes long. So I'm trying to keep these things bite-sized, but essentially when your body is poisoned, okay, alcohol, refined sugar, processed foods, there's so many toxins in the things that we're using, the products that we're using, that we're putting on our skin, the air that we're breathing, the water. And like, I'm not trying to say these things in a way to make you scared, because that is the opposite of helpful at this point, right? But when your body is poisoned, it is sending a signal to your brain that something is wrong, and it's activating your sympathetic nervous response, okay? And then that is creating a loop of anxiety because your body's like, something's wrong. Brain's like, what's wrong? I better find it, right? And then that's where you find it. You come up with something and you're jumping around, right? And then because we create our reality based on how we feel and what we're thinking, we are then manifesting things in our physical environment to confirm the idea that we're under threat. I'm definitely going to go deeper into this, but like I said, I'm trying to keep these videos concise. So let me know how this one lands in the comments, or if you have any questions about this in particular that I can respond to. Otherwise, stay tuned until the next part of the series. And if you're somebody who is struggling with nervous system regulation and not sure where to start, check out the link in my bio or send me a DM. I do have a special offer, a laser focused session and week of integration and expansion via voice note. It is a special offer, very limited quantities. So hit me up if that's something that is of interest. Otherwise, interact with this video, subscribe, follow me if you're not already, to continue on this series, because it's probably going to be a million freaking parts.